Who would have thought that as we got closer and closer to E3, there will be a bunch of insiders talking about new games Xbox is about to announce. And today is no different. We have a very reputable insider talking about 5 AAA games that Xbox is currently making. Let's get into what they could be and who could be making them. Let's do this. Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by and checking out the channel. Remember to hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support helps out the channel greatly. And if you want to be notified when future content drops, hit that small bell icon. It helps out the channel a lot. But enough of those shameless plugs, let's get into these new AAA games that are being talked about around the entire industry. Because we have to admit, with all the new studios Xbox has bought, we already know that they're making a ton of games for Xbox Game Pass. And after last year's show where they showed off a bunch of games, it was blatantly obvious that Xbox is coming this generation to play hardball. They aren't trying to let the potential of Game Pass slip by them at all. And Clobriel, who is a very well-known insider, said just that when he took to a forum to discuss this year's E3 event along with other announcements that Xbox might show off this year. Here's what was said in the forum by Clobriel. Last year at the Xbox Game Showcase, Xbox revealed 4 new AAA games coming from their own studios: Forza Motorsport, State of Decay 3, Avowed, and of course Fable. For this year, including Xbox Game Studios and Bethesda, so far I do think I already know about 5 completely new AAA titles being announced this summer, some more expected than others. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is last year's event where Xbox really showed out and brought 4 new AAA games to the event. They brought Forza Motorsport, State of Decay 3, Avowed, and Fable. Games that a lot of people knew before the event, minus Avowed, which was kind of a pretty big surprise for a lot of people. Yet it showed that Xbox Game Studios is going to be making huge games. That's what the whole point of the event was. It was a breath of fresh air for Xbox and their first-party studios, considering for years gamers didn't get a lot of details about what they were working on no matter what. But now we all know, and because of that, it showed that Xbox Series X console has a pretty awesome future, especially since every single one of those huge games will launch day and date on Xbox Game Pass. But now things are different because Xbox doesn't just have Xbox Game Studios to rely on. They have Bethesda, which was announced about 2 months after their summer event last year. So not only did Xbox have one of their biggest summer events talking about huge AAA games, but they announced buying over 8 AAA studios ready to make games for them as exclusives. Some of the biggest studios in the industry are attached to that, by the way, and that's exactly what Clobriel is talking about right here. He's saying that Xbox has 5 AAA games that they might announce this summer alone. Now, this is a little different from what other insiders have mentioned, saying while we should be excited for this year's E3 and events, we should also temper expectations because a lot of games got delayed. And we've seen that from across the entire industry. Multiple games that were supposed to release this year or early this year have been pushed back due to the situation going on around the world. So these plans of announcing multiple AAA games could be scrubbed if Xbox feels like the games need more time in the oven, something that Clobriel admits right here. Plans are still fluctuating though. At the end of the day, I think it is a fair expectation that gameplay trailers and or demos should have a bigger presence, at least for the already announced things coming this and next year. So as you can see right here, things are very fluid when it comes to game announcements. I mean, come on, we've seen multiple developers push games back or even announce they won't talk about games for a little while. We just saw the Coalition talk about Unreal Engine 5 and how their team is working with new technology, so don't expect anything from them for a very long time. I wouldn't expect to hear anything from them for multiple years, if not even 3 years. So again, what Clobriel is talking about has to be a couple of games that we've seen the light of day or have been rumored for some time. And that's exactly what I want to concentrate on. I want to talk about a couple of games we might see and maybe some games we'll see gameplay of. So the first game we'll see an extensive gameplay showing of has to be Halo Infinite. We all know this. We haven't seen gameplay for almost a year. In fact, it's been since they had that poor showing from last year. So expect Halo Infinite to be the center of everything. After that, we'll get Forza Horizon 5 and maybe Starfield. Those 2 games will be there this summer, so expect them to get some time to shine, but also time to show that Xbox and Bethesda are one team. That's something that Xbox is going to want to lock down and show everybody in the industry, showing that Bethesda and Xbox are on the same side from now on. As for Fable, State of Decay 3, and Avowed, I don't expect to see gameplay of those games at all. I have a feeling they're years away, especially after the pandemic derailed a lot of developers across the industry and at Xbox Game Studios. And after what Matt Booty said, some teams are really still recovering from last year, I expect things to be shown next year. We might get hints, but it's going to be a little while before we see those games shine and gameplay attached to them. Now we go on to the 5 new games that might be shown, and I'll try my best guess work here, but I think we can narrow it down to a couple potential games and maybe a mystery or two. So the first game is something I've already talked about, which is Forza Horizon 5. It's a new game not announced, and it's a AAA game. So expect that with gameplay and maybe, just maybe, a release date of 2021. We have to remember, Clobriel says new AAA games, not new IPs. So Forza Horizon is going to be one of those 5 games, and I expect it to be a huge holiday push or something for the 2022 season early on. I know it's not flashy, but it's been almost 3 years since we've got a Forza game, so it's about time Xbox uses those chips and puts them on the table, because that's a huge franchise that a lot of people love. Next up has to be Wolfenstein III, the game that Machine Games is working on. Now, we know that Machine Games is working on the next Indiana Jones, and it's going to be a huge AAA action-adventure game, but they haven't brought out a game for almost 4 years now. The last game they brought out was Wolfenstein II, which came out in 2017. So I expect them to come out, announce the new game for 2021, maybe even holiday season, if not early 2022, because Machine Games is one of the most talented developers over there at Bethesda and Xbox now. They've made some of the best looking games we've ever seen, and I expect them to come out swinging this year, especially since they'll want to finish up Wolfenstein so they can put more people on the Indiana Jones game. It's a bigger IP and will sell like crazy if it's done right, which I have a feeling Machine Games will get right. So expect them to have a huge presence this summer and maybe even tie it into the new Indiana Jones movie that's being hinted at. So yeah, that could be one thing that we see this summer. After that, I think that Compulsion Games is going to have something they can show. Now, I don't expect gameplay or anything crazy, but I know for a fact that Compulsion Games is a new AAA studio that pitched a game to Xbox and got approved. They didn't want to sit at the AA studio table anymore. They wanted to make a huge game and feel they have the leadership and talent to do so. And Xbox liked their idea, so they gave them a huge amount of money and even got them a new building to build their studio in. So expect them to have at least something to announce, because the last time they brought out a game was 3 or 4 years ago with We Happy Few, a game that really didn't set the world on fire, but was developed before Xbox was able to give them a huge amount of funding like they can now. So expect this team to get at least a title reveal or even something a little bigger, because Xbox will want to show they have another big studio working on yet another huge game, which makes 3 games I have a feeling we'll see for sure. But now comes the hard part, figuring out the last 2 mystery games. So the first one I have a feeling will be revealed will be something with Kojima. Now I know that's crazy, but this rumor has been going around forever now, and where there's smoke, there's fire. And this is something I've talked about a long time ago. Over a year ago, I made a video talking about Xbox and Kojima. And seeing that Kojima's last game was Death Stranding that came out in 2019, it's going to be 2 full years now since he made something else. We know that Death Stranding didn't sell like crazy, and we also know it's made for PC as well, something that Xbox values a ton. So I wouldn't be surprised if Xbox announces a game with Kojima to show they're working with him. This will set the gaming world on fire if it happens, and it's going to show Xbox can really push the Japanese market with him. It's a huge play to get into a market they haven't been able to get a foothold in. Now, this is me just guessing, and I could be totally wrong about this, but I just have a feeling that Xbox and Kojima have something cooking up, because there's too much smoke for there not to be a fire. Plus, Kojima hasn't made another deal with Sony, who are not afraid to announce games 3 or 4 years ahead like they did with Death Stranding. Maybe Xbox takes a page out of their book and announces this game while it's 2 or 3 years away. Let's see what happens, but I have a feeling there's something coming up with that. We should keep an eye on it. Now, the next and final game could be either the IO Interactive RPG game Codename Dragon, or it could be that crazy Typhoon or Cyclone game Jez and Miles Dompierre from Windows Central have hinted at. Now, I think the IO Interactive RPG is going to be ways off, especially since they just released Hitman. So I think they're reshaping their studio and getting all their ducks in a row for that game. But I think we'll hear something about that game in a year or even 2 years from now. But as for that Cyclone game, I think this might be closer to reveal than we think, because it's a huge game and something that I know a lot of people are hyped about, and it's an online-only game which might surprise a lot of people. So maybe just maybe Xbox goes back to its roots and tries to dominate the multiplayer aspect of gaming yet again with Halo Infinite and this game, showing that if you want to play top-tier multiplayer games, you should probably get an Xbox, which is pretty fair to advertise for them, I have to say. And that's the 5 games I have a feeling Clobriel is talking about. Now, I could be way off and completely wrong on all of this, but that's not the point. The point is to have fun with this and see what games Xbox could potentially be making, and seeing how much time each studio had lately to make a game. And from the looks of everything, it looks like the studios I talked about had the most time to prepare games for announcements this summer at E3 or another event. Now, don't get me wrong, this E3 could be small and these summer events could be hurt by the delays. But either way, I'm excited to get some gaming news, and I'm even more excited to see what games are coming down the pipeline from Xbox, especially when they're being leaked or rumored by insiders that know what they're talking about. But enough of what I think, tell me what you think about all of this. What 5 games do you think are being rumored here? Are you excited for any of these games I talked about? Could you see Kojima actually making an Xbox exclusive game? What other studios can be ready for a game announcement this year? Will Xbox really show 5 new games at this summer events? Go down below and let me know. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support helps out the channel more than you know. And give me a follow on Twitter at Zalker87. I'm always on there talking games and sharing my latest videos. Plus, I love interacting with everyone there, so get on Twitter and let's talk about gaming. Also, follow me on Xbox Live. My gamertag is Zalker87, just like my channel name. See what games I'm playing, and let's compete in achievements for the month. So right now, I've been playing a bunch of games. Destroy All Humans, I'm jumping into Zombie Driver, and I've been playing Mass Effect like crazy. So yeah, I'm playing a bunch of games. There's too many games out there right now. I just don't know where to go. Sometimes I feel like playing something mindless in a party with my buddies on Xbox, or I want to play Mass Effect and kind of go on my own and play and get immersed in the story, which that's what Mass Effect does. It immerses you and you just feel compelled to keep playing. But let me know what you're playing. Are you playing something else? Are you waiting for a game to come out? Are you playing the new Biomutant? Or are you playing something new that I haven't even heard about on Xbox Game Pass? Let me know down below, because that's what we're here for, is to talk games. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, enjoy your gaming. Later.